Okay, how do you see your learning? Do you see it as though you are just filling your brain up with loads and loads of information, and it's like a camera? Your brain is like a camera with a hard drive you just have to fill. Or do you see your learning as your brain is like a computer, and every time you learn something, you're writing a new piece of software, or you're making a new app, and that new app might be a bit rubbish at first, but as you improve it and improve it and improve it, it becomes useful, something you use every day and all the time without even noticing it. Because I think I'm in the camp of I'm making apps or tools to use in my head, and that's why I feel like no learning is ever wasted. As long as you're being skeptical about what you're learning and you don't just believe everything you're told, and you have some standards for what you're learning. So an example might be I spent a lot of time in my youth learning to ride a BMX. I had no idea that as an adult, in fact, I would have told you no, there's no way I'd never ride a mountain bike because mountain bikes were from the wrong tribe. You know, you've got your mods and your rockers, you've got your I don't know your chavs and your geeks. And back when I was a kid, you had your mountain bike. We had your BMXers and your inline skaters, and then two would never cross.
Uh-oh. Here comes trouble.
Where do you think the ladies went out for a little stroll, huh? Boys go out walking around and talking things through.
Keep a tight perimeter.
And it was the same for BMXing and mountain biking. But because I learnt to BMX well, I had no idea that I would take those skills, get on a mountain bike, and that would still work for me. And I think the same is true of what you learn in school. You're going to learn loads of stuff. I thought that English was a complete waste of time. I hated it because I couldn't spell, and my handwriting was terrible, and it still is. But actually, it turns out, now as an adult, I had no idea at the time, that I really appreciate the fact that my English teacher took the time to make me understand what metaphors were and simile, and because I enjoy literature a lot now. I don't read it in a book, but I do listen to it, and I still use some of the things my English teacher taught me at the time for thinking about what the text means and etc. So I'm still using those tools. I made those tools in that classroom, and I put them in my toolbox thinking, oh, I'll never use those again. But in reality, any tool can be repurposed, can be used again at a later point. What's super cool is it's like playing one of those computer games where you collect, you upgrade your vehicle and upgrade your vehicle and upgrade your vehicle. And as you upgrade your vehicle, because your vehicle goes faster, for a little bit of time you race faster, you can collect more points, and they really hook you into the computer game because you're going faster, you're collecting more coins usually, and then you can buy more upgrades for your car, and then you can go even faster, and you collect the coins even faster, and it's like you get escalating returns. You get more and more back for the effort you put in, and I think education is just like that as well. It's a slow start, and for me it did feel like a slow start as well, but the more time I've spent trying to learn new concepts or even relearn old concepts, it just gets easier and easier and easier, and the faster you can do it. So I've been reading a book recently about evolutionary psychology, and I've read a good 3 or 4 books prior to that about evolution, and as a result of that, listen to a book. The book's about 12 hours long, and I listen to it a little bit faster, and I can listen to it a little bit faster because I've already got a background knowledge in it, so I don't have to work quite as hard to understand the concepts as though I'm taking them in for the first time. The first book I read on evolution, I had to reread chapters, I had to pause it, I had to open up my phone and check definitions and write things down and practice explaining it to other people. I always do that, so whenever I hear something interesting or something I think I've not quite understood, I'll try and explain it to my wife or somebody else, and that helps. So that going from the first time learning about the concepts or reading about them in more detail to the 5th time, I've picked out a lot more nuance and details and found it much easier. So yeah, I think that's the cool thing about learning is whatever you're learning, it's also improving your ability to learn, your speed at which you pick things up, at which you pick out the important bits in the information, etc. So why are we learning this? Part 2. Thanks for watching.